Okay, and like I said, right, my experience in Taiwan, my learning experience in Taiwan, I don't really know, I couldn't say it's very representative of many other Taiwanese people, right? Because I only speak English in class, I'm very limited in terms of the professors I can talk to, in terms of the 同学 I can talk with, right? Very limited, okay? But, you know, I think this will all change, right? This is an extremely small population now, but as we all know, the government wants to let Chinese college students come over to Taiwan eventually. Okay, and this I'll touch on later, and we'll keep on going with that. Okay, so for me being born in America, me being born in the States, coming back to Taiwan, I think the biggest difference, right, the biggest difference that I can notice, right, is the respect that teachers and professors they get in society. Okay, in the States, you know, if you're a professor, you're a teacher, oh, you know, people think that's great. But in Taiwan, you get much more respect. If you say you're a teacher, if you say a professor, you know, you get a respect from society. You get this type of thing. Okay. On a whole, I think this is good. On a whole, you know, teachers should be respected. Education is very important, so it is something that it is a place of, it is a position of power that we should respect. However, I think in Taiwan, because of this distance that we have between professors and students, right? Because of the distance you have, we have a lot of classroom politics. Okay, classroom politics meaning that, as I've studied at Tsinghua this past year, I've noticed that a lot of my 同学, a lot of my fellow students, they have to see, is this teacher a KMT? Is this teacher a DPP? Okay, because of that, then how do we talk to this person? Like, if this guy's KMT, these are the things I can say in class. If this guy is DPP, these are the things I can say in class. These are the things that you shouldn't say in class. Okay, but this is really interesting because coming from America, in college, in school, you're taught to be an individual. You're taught to challenge what you think. You're taught to challenge the things you learn. In Taiwan, it's completely different. Okay, it's completely different, and because of this dynamic that you get, okay, this is where you get student-to-student interaction. In my opinion, is also filled with politics and what I like to call drama. Okay, and what I mean is, for instance, I just started class yesterday at Tsinghua. Kaisha was yesterday, and I have it's like 4 or 5 people in my class, and it's amazing. I'm always amazed at how much time my 同学, my classmates, spend on dividing today's homework assignment into, you know, let's say I have to read 100 pages. Okay, everybody breaks it up. Okay, you read 10, you read 10, you read 10, you read 10. So that you know, we're all okay. Like, we'll be able to cover the professor's questions. And the other day, I literally stayed after class for about 20 minutes with these PhD students, just dividing on who would take what so that they would do the least amount of work possible. Okay, and for me, it's just kind of like, you know, it seems like they're wasting a lot of time, right? We should be here to learn. We should read everything, right? If you don't have time, you know, that's okay. But it seems like Taiwanese students are so caught up in, you know, trying to please the teacher, trying to get, what does this certain teacher look for? So this is exactly what we need to do. You know, people are worried about, you know, even as I've lived in Taiwan longer, I've become to speak more politically. And as I get more political, I notice the way people talk to me is totally different, right? People, now that people know where I stand, they tell me what I want to hear. They don't tell me where they stand. They don't tell me what they believe in. Okay, and this is, I think, a lot of times in, you know, Taiwan's education, we spend a lot of time wasting time on this. Personally, this is what I believe. Then the third one. Okay, although students in the U.S. cheat, the attitudes toward cheating in Taiwan is totally different. And what I mean is that because Taiwan, we're always testing, right? From elementary school, junior high, high school, every week testing, 小考, 大考, everything, you know, getting into junior high, high school. What happens when you have a environment where all you're doing is testing? Well, then kids just cheat because they just need to memorize it for this quiz. Next week, they don't need to remember it. Next month, they don't need to remember it. So you have all these people that the very first time I took a test in Taiwan here at Tsinghua, it was a 期末考, right? I come in, and you know, sitting next to me are 2 of my Taiwanese students, right? I come in, I sit down. Right away, one of my friends just takes out a cheat sheet? Takes it out, just puts it right on his desk. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, for the test. I was like, but it's right on your desk. And he's like, it's okay, it's okay. You know, and then I found out during this is my first time taking a test. During the test, there was actually students going to the bathroom. And in the bathroom, there was a 小抄 that everyone could go to the bathroom and look at. Okay? And, you know, this kind of thing, it really caught me by surprise because everybody cheats, okay? I'm not saying that people don't cheat. In the States, people cheat all the time. But the attitude, that, the openness with it, for me, being born in America, it was definitely a noticeable difference, right? It's definitely a noticeable difference. And it just seems that like a lot of my friends, a lot of the people I've met are just very, it's not a big deal, right? And I can understand it because of the environment. And this is why I think, we need a lot of changes, right? We can't always keep testing. We can't like say that, everything's going to be based on this one test, or everything is going to be based on last week's test, or we need to get, we just need to think in a completely different mind set of mind frame. Okay. So like I was saying, right, before my political views were known, and I was just a regular student, everybody treated me, pretty nicely. Teachers treated me fine. A lot of like a lot of my fellow students treated me fine. Okay. Basically, when people saw me, they thought of me as a typical foreigner. Okay, typical foreigner. Most foreigners in Taiwan, they've lived here 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They don't know anything about Taiwan. They don't know anything about Taiwan's culture. They don't know any Taiwanese. They don't know anything about our political system, about everything that's going on. Okay, but after my views became more public, right? After my views became more public, okay, transferring into the political economy department at NCKU was a huge fiasco. Okay, why is this? Because at NCKU, their political economy department used to be the KMT, right? The KMT party representative in Tsenda used to come from the political economy department. And I was on the news last year for protesting, okay? And because of that, right, I was a little bit more public, okay? When I wanted to transfer into the NCKU program, I had to go through so many different hurdles that other people didn't have to go through, okay? I was asked at one point to write a letter promising that I would study hard and that I would not get too political, okay? And this is really funny, being that I'm actually going to be a political economy student, okay? As a political economy student, could you ever imagine your professor saying, don't learn too much about politics and don't get too involved, right? How is that possible, right? I was told, don't get too political, and then I actually had to write a letter promising that I promised to study, okay? And I really think, for me personally, this is a double standard, right? If today I was KMT, I'll say like, if today I was KMT, I would have gotten right in. I would have gotten no problem. It would have been much, much easier, okay? But yeah, it was really difficult for me to get in. And the funniest thing was, right before I transferred in, the dean actually sat down and talked to me and asked me, told me, don't get too political. You got to promise to go to class. You got to promise to do all this stuff. But the funniest thing is, at my school, one of our professors actually ran for Tainan's mayor position for the KMT on university time. On university time, he was the Choi Choswan. Okay, and this is the same programming telling me as a student, I shouldn't get too political. I shouldn't do this. Well, what about my teacher? Right, what do you expect? And this is double standard. Okay, this is clearly a double standard. If today I was supporting him, if today I wanted to help him out in his campaign, would I have been in? I would have been in like that, easy. Okay. Now I want to talk about teaching in Taiwan. That was me going to school as a student in Taiwan. In terms of teaching in Taiwan, okay, when I think about Taiwanese students, when I think about Asian students, okay, the first word that pops into my head is conformity. Okay, conformity meaning that we all need to be the same. We all need to have the same grades. We all need to walk the same. When we write Chinese, it has to look exactly the same. When we write English, it needs to look exactly the same. That's what Asian education is based on, right? Just conformity. Okay. When I talk about U.S., when we talk about more Western education, it's on the opposite side of the spectrum. We talk about individualism, right? Ever since you're young, they always just tell you, whatever you want to do, just do it, right? You're independent, you can do it. And of course, this has problems as well. Okay, I'm not saying that the U.S. education system has many, 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 many problems. Okay, but one good thing that they do teach you is individualism, self-confidence, right? Having the self-confidence to be able to approach people that have different views from you. Okay, and this is what I think is the most important with Taiwan's education, right? Is that we actually teach kids that, if today someone has different opinions than you, don't talk to them, right? To say or agree with it. Right? This type of thing I think is very dangerous, right? In a true democratic society, we need to actually be able to express all of our opinions openly. It doesn't matter today if you're KMT, if you're DPP, if you're Chinese, if you're Taiwanese, it shouldn't matter, right? And just because someone is of a different party, of a different opinion, we need to be able to teach kids that it's okay to talk to these people. It's okay that, to have conversation with them. Okay?